Okay, so hi everyone, welcome to the Catventurous Podcast. Today, it's my pleasure to have Cara from Jersey Island with her two cats, Clive and Colin. So thanks for joining us, Cara.
Hi, thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So can you give us a bit of background to you guys, where people can find you to start with, and your bit about your Instagram, and maybe a little bit about how Clive and Colin came into your family?
So our Instagram is Sir Clive the Cat, and basically Clive and Colin got named by my partner because it was basically I either was allowed a cat and he could name them, or I wasn't allowed a cat. So
I love the names. They're awesome.
He definitely picked Clive first and thought it was very funny. So I then made a pedigree name to suit where we are in Jersey. So we're in St Albans where we live. So he's called Sir Clive of St Albans.
Nice.
And shortly after, when we realised more about the ragdoll breed, because they're both ragdolls, the reason we picked the breed was because we live right next to it was not a main road. It's like a small street, but cars go down it quite fast. So we knew that we needed an indoor cat. And also in Jersey, it seems to be that loads and loads of cats are getting run over because we're just full of green lanes and not many main roads. So cats do get caught out a lot. So we got a ragdoll cat after doing lots of research about what cats are most likely to be happy indoors. And my partner wasn't so sure about cats to begin with, so I tried to find the most docile breed possible, because then he would be happy to live in his own home as well. So Clive came onto the scene about a year ago now. So we picked him up in the 17th of July last year from the UK, because Jersey's so small, it's only 5 by 9 miles big. And yeah, so then Colin shortly followed when Clive didn't like being by himself when I went out for a couple of hours to sort out the horse and stuff. So we got two to keep him company.
Nice. And you obviously started off wanting them to be house cats, but then your Instagram, your videos are awesome. You're out with them on the beach, and can you just talk about a bit about Jersey Island and what made you decide to give them that sort of lifestyle, and also what sort of environment are you in? We can kind of picture the island, but can you give us a bit more about that?
So basically, when I researched into the breed, I felt sorry for them that they were going to look at 4 walls for the rest of their life. We've only got a 2-bedroom cottage, so it's not huge. And then researching into the breed, that looked like that it's quite common for them to be obese. And they're quite lethargic cats anyway, so for them to move, I'd have to take them or play with them a lot anyway. So when I started following like Traveller and a couple of other like hiking with cats and stuff on Instagram, so I realized it was actually more of a thing than I knew. And I tried with my older cats. We used to have 2 16-year-old moggies, and they weren't too pleased when I tried attaching a harness to them. So literally from day one with Clive at 12 weeks old, I got him desensitized to the harness. I started with an Ankle Pet Products harness that kind of like changed shape to them, and then I moved on to Surfer Cat after we had quite a scare when Colin got out of his harness. So that was like the worst nightmare, literally.
Yeah, totally.
But luckily I picked him up when the harness fell off. And then we went to Surfer Cat because it's basically escape proof. Colin likes zooming around like a little psycho kitty sometimes. So with this harness, he never falls out of it. So awesome. Thank God for those.
Yeah, totally.
But then we basically just decided that I was going to start training them to go, and we're opposite the beach where we are. So literally about 70 yards down the road from my house is a beach. Nice. And so I was like, it's so sad that they would stare at 4 walls and we have a beach down the road. So I decided to make them adventure cats if possible. And the breed is quite docile, so it's a lot easier than some other breeds to train them to do so. So we started off with just desensitizing them in the harness and just playing with them around the house and feeding them with their harnesses on. Then we went into the back garden for a bit with a static harness. of static harness, static lead.
Yeah.
And then just let them sniff around. And then we went on to the retractable leash. We use a flexi leash, which is just a standard dog one, but just for an extra small dog, so it's not too heavy.
Yeah.
And then we then took them onto the beach after that was probably about 7 to 8 weeks after getting them used to it, just in general.
Nice.
Clive was quite worried at the beginning, but the more and more I got treats out, the more and more he started enjoying himself.
Great. Yeah.
But yeah, so basically the island is quite chill, but there's a lot of dogs. And in the summer there's a leash rule where between 10:30 and 6 p.m. dogs have to be leashed on all beaches. So we only really go in between those times, and if not, we are very, very careful. And also we go to like the sand dunes and woodland areas that are around us, so we're quite spoiled with choice.
Yeah, nice. Well, I mean, that's a segue into, do you want to talk about your off-leash dog experience here and what happened, when it happened, just, whatever you want to share with us about that.
Yeah, so it gets really frustrating over here because there's an off-leash rule there's a leash rule for a reason. And that's not just for like people like us. This is not normal in Jersey. Like I only know a couple of people who have started doing it actually because I've posted on the Jersey Cat forum quite a lot. And one of my best friends has 2 Bengals on a leash.
Is that Stella and Cirrus?
Yeah, Bengals are above the bar.
Yeah, I was wondering if you guys knew each other because I mean it's got a big island, so
we literally got the cats at the same time, so it was quite funny.
Cool.
But no, so we because we live by this beach, it's quite a small beach, but it's one that quite a lot of people use, and it's really frustrating because they think that because it's out in like the corner of the island, they think that they can just get away with doing what they want. So you see a lot of off-leash dogs, and basically we have to pick them up and put them in the bag and then tell the people can you leash your dog please, because it is the law. And then it just gets repetitive, and the poor cats just get picked up all the time just to go back in their bag, and you're just like, can you just listen to the rules? And there's quite a lot of people who come on boats and then they come off their boat and then with dogs not even with a leash with them, so it gets really frustrating. And we had a really scary experience not so long ago. It was probably about 3 weeks ago, and one of my friends was holding Clive because Clive's a little bit better on a leash than Colin. And I had Colin, and she's a little bit shorter than me, so I'm like 5'9". So if a dog comes up to us, I can lift them quite high.
Yeah.
And this dog was like a terrier. It's like an Airedale terrier or something. So it's very rare in Jersey, that type of dog. And it saw us from about 50 up, probably about 50 meters away. We had them picked up, and this dog like launched over to us and was like jumping and biting, trying to get Clive. I had to knee this dog away about 3 times. And I was like shouting at the owner because I was like, this is the reason for an off-leash, like for a leash rule, leash your dog. And I was just literally screaming because it was horrible. And this poor girl that was with me, she's only like 14, and she was crying and like hugging onto the cat. The cats were obviously really scared. They obviously tried scratching her because I know how to hold them that they don't scratch me. But it's just not fair. And then Clive luckily was okay, but she did drop him at one point, but I had the dog by the scruff of the neck. So it was nowhere near him by that point. But I was holding Colin while holding this dog, and then the owner came up, clipped the dog and just walked off, didn't even apologize, didn't even come like take the dog and then come back and see if we were okay or anything. Like it was horrible.
Oh man, I mean the event is one thing, but then that sort of attitude is just it's the extra trauma. It's awful.
Exactly. So it's also like I was in like the fact that I was just trying to keep both cats safe, and my poor friend was crying, and you're just like then when you come to think about it and you repeat it, you're just like, that is terrible. I was like, there was 2 of them, so one of them could have taken the dog away and one of them could have stayed behind and seen if everyone was okay. Yeah. But obviously they know they've broken the law because and they know that dog might have bitten one of us, and luckily he didn't. But you know what I mean, we're animal lovers, and I understand that some dogs don't like cats, but realistically there's a leash rule, and terriers are quite are like known for that type of thing.
Yeah, it's a terrier.
Especially even with like, imagine if that hurt the child that I was with. She's not a child, she's 14, but you're just like, oh, it's just really frustrating because there's a rule there. I wouldn't have taken my friend if I knew that there was going to be off-leash dogs like that, and it even made me question whether I wanted to do it anymore. Right. And so you're just like, and I'm all for screaming from the rooftops about letting your cats outside on a leash, because so many get run over that you just want them to be safe. And then I basically felt like I put my cats in danger from doing it. Yeah. So it was, and then I like from then I was like getting really, really annoyed and just got quite upset about it, because I was just like, why do not people listen to the law? Yeah. And you're just like, there's so many other things that you could break the law and it would be so frowned upon, but just because you think, oh, because my dog has a good recall, it's fine.
Yeah, but in those situations, probably not.
Exactly. So, and do you have fully control of your dog ever? I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, in that situation where that hunt instinct is activated, the adrenaline's run, you know, I don't know, man, I don't think so.
It was completely, and it was like, I would not go down to the beach without 3 of us if there was a non-leash rule. So it was kind of just like, I'm taking all the precautions I need to for a cat owner. And I just felt like, literally, you saw us come down to the beach. We were holding them the whole time. It's not like the fact that the cat was on the floor either. And this dog just literally was launching. You didn't see any urgency from the person's owner until the dog was actually jumping up at us. Yeah. So it was like the dog ran off and they didn't really make much of a fuss about it. And then when they realized that it was a cat and then it was jumping up at us, that's when you saw some urgency. Yeah. But it was more the way it was dealt with. If she came back and was like, I'm so sorry, like, if you need anything, like, or are they okay? She didn't even see if the cats were okay. So yeah, it was just a bit of a terrible situation that wasn't dealt with very well either. So
totally. And like, what did you do after it? Did you
after that I then posted on a Facebook page, which is the dog forum, and just turned off the comments, because I've done it before where I've posted and say, just to let you know, we are on the beach, this is what we do. There's so many nice comments, but there are some horrible ones, like cats don't belong on leashes. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Just things like that. And you're just like, okay, so you'd rather my cat be in danger, but that's okay. Yeah. But there's so many lovely comments as well. And there's so many lovely dog walkers that come up with their dog on a leash and just like make themselves known and say, oh, it's such a lovely thing that you do that. So as much as there's one in a needle in a haystack that's terrible, it does only take that one to be quite dangerous. So I posted on the forum and was like, just to let you know, this has happened, and there is a leash rule for a reason. Please can everyone abide by this? Are we taking further action anyway? Because it was a very unusual dog that I knew that I had quite a leg to stand on, because there's not very many of them in the island. And then I posted on this other Facebook page, which is Jersey Ask, Advise, Advertise page that everyone just posts on. So then I did that as well. There's so much lovely support. And then I rung over here. We're quite old school with like constables and senators and stuff. So I rung up the parish constable, which is who you report any sort of incident like that. And he was lovely, actually. He said that he had a friend that walked cats on a leash. So he was super supportive and said he'd look at, over here, you have to have a dog license. So he'd look on the license and see of any dogs that breed, and to contact all of them and just to let them know. So then that's basically all I could do on my side. And we have honorary police as well, which are like people who just volunteer and be like guard our parishes, I suppose. Yeah. But they come down every now and then to the beaches to make sure that the dogs are on leashes, but you can only catch them if you're down there. So yeah, for sure. But after talking to the lovely lady who owns Surfer Cat harnesses, she was super supportive over Messenger, because she saw that I posted about it on our Instagram, and she's had quite a lot of problem herself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Mav had some problems, I think, with an off-leash dog attack. I think he was injured. Yeah.
And so we were talking about how frustrated we were that literally no one took it seriously that we do this, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what can we do? So far we've come up with that we're gonna do a sign that you can hook on before you go for a walk that just says there are cats on leashes on this beach, so please put your dog on a leash. So at like where we go for a walk most of the time, there's only one entrance and one exit, so it's quite good to be able to put something like that there where they can choose then to either not go to that beach or actually just abide by the rules.
That's a good idea.
So locally, that's what I'm doing at the moment.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to ask like so many other people do it now in Jersey, and they will do the same thing so that it becomes more of a, and the way that I've designed it is more like a stop sign so that people do read it and a warning. So I'm hoping that would work and keep them a little bit safer, because to be fair, like, do you expect a cat on a beach?
Probably no, I mean, totally. I mean, that's the thing that I think is our responsibility as Cats on Leash folks is, to do all that we can to raise awareness about it. Because I mean, for me, the major problem is people just don't know about it. I mean, we know we're part of a big community, but people just don't know about it. So, you know, they don't think about it.
It's a big community as such online, but like, in Britain, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a big community as a thing. Like, whenever people see them, like, is that a cat on a leash? And I'm just like, yeah.
I mean, I guess
like, do they even walk on a leash? And I'm just like, yeah.
Totally. I mean, globally,
like a dog.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of thinking globally, like as a community, we're quite large, but I think we really need to raise our voices, you know, and within our communities, like you're doing, totally, with hopefully things like this podcast that will, you know, diffuse out eventually. We've still got our Cats on Leash awareness campaign, which we're going to do more stuff with, and just raise that awareness. I mean, my feeling about people is that generally they would be heartbroken if their dog injured or killed a cat. Like, it would be, it's just awful for them, and they just don't know that they're out there on leash. I mean, apart from the fact that they're breaking leash laws, that's a whole nother issue. But I still, you know, I kind of trust in the good in people generally.
I agree with that, and like, completely. And to be fair, when they are off the leash, I don't go up full guns blazing. I'm just like, just to let you know, I do have a cat, and please could you just leash your dog while we're here. Because look, if it's raining, if it's overcast, they're just thinking, oh, what harm is it doing taking my dog off the leash? But they don't realize we exist. So we go up with the cats in the backpack and just say, just let you know, we're going to take the cats out. It does get really frustrating when they then don't listen, but 99% of the time they do listen and they do put them on a leash. So it's just having some patience as well. So people don't know. And even on a small community like us, look, we've got 100,000 people who live on this island, and I probably reached quite a lot of them. Like, lots of them know Clive of St. Oban. So realistically, probably in 3 years down the line, people will understand what cats are on leashes. And a lot more people over here are doing it because there's so many cat accidents. Loads of people have catios, and some people have the patience to train their cat. So far I know of about 15 people now who do it, and I never knew it before. So me and Paige, who are the Bengals mum, we do post a lot on the cat forum to show that you can do it, and like, the cats love it,
and they love
her cats love paddling in the sea. Mine aren't so much keen on that.
They're adorable, those two. I love their accounts. They're great. Well, do you want to segue a little bit into how, like, you've talked a little bit about how you trained Clive and Colin. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you, because I mean, in my experience with Melba, it's an ongoing thing. It's not something you train and then it's done. You know, it's an ongoing like exercise and patience, persistence, ongoing training, ongoing bond building, that's confidence building, that sort of thing. So can you talk a little bit about what you do with Clive and Colin with, maintaining that training?
So literally consistency. Like we go out pretty much every single day, even if it's just around the lanes down here at night. So sometimes when it's too hot, we go out about 10 p.m. on a nice lit street behind our house. And we just go for a short circle around the house, which probably takes about 20 minutes. But consistency, because if we didn't go daily, they wouldn't be as good as they are now. Even if it's for 10 minutes, even when we were training them, like when we first started training them, I literally used to sit down, just have him on an extending leash and just let him go where he wanted. And then I started teaching them a recall. So I whistle really high pitchedly, and every single time they come to my recall, because they then get a treat. It's a bit like a dog. Totally. Colin is a will unto his own sometimes, but Clive shows him the way. Clive is more dog-like than Colin, but Colin has the zoomies after flies, after anything, after a leaf, I mean. So no, they're good, but yeah, like definitely patience, a lot of patience, because some days they just want to be a cat and they just want to sit down and watch the birds. So then you've got to realize I'm not going to make it to the end of the beach today, and I'll just let them. It's their walk after all.
Yeah, totally. That's that old cliche, right? You don't walk a cat. They walk you.
The cat owns you as well, let's be honest.
Totally. It's same thing.
But they both meow at the door, so they really want to go out. So every single day we can't get away with not taking them out. If we're really tired, really busy, then we'll have one day, but it'll never be 2 days in a row. Just because that's what they love and that's what they enjoy. So we have the responsibility of owning them. So give them the best life they can.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, so we built a small little catio off of our back window. We have a shared garden, so we don't have like an enclosed space at all. So we built one that is literally only about half a meter this way, but like about a meter wide. But it means that they can watch the birds outside and still have some fresh air. And it keeps
kitty TV.
Yeah, it keeps working from home somewhat sane.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Otherwise they just meow at the door all day, and then you feel so guilty.
How was it in lockdown? Did you guys have lockdown in Jersey?
We did, but we were very lucky in comparison. So we only had about 6 weeks of actual lockdown where you weren't allowed to do anything. But then we had like a stage 3 lockdown, which was kind of like no restaurants or bars were open, but you're allowed to do exercise outside. And like I had my horse at the time, so it meant that didn't count as my time outside. So I was quite lucky. It's been terrible for a lot of people, more than us, I would say. We're so lucky that we live surrounded by sea, sporty and quite nice weather. So
nice, you can get outdoors.
And
a little bit about your bond, because from again my experience with Melba, the bond that we have is a big part of the success that we have with going out on leash, and how she trusts me. She looks to me in almost any situation to know what to do. So do you guys have anything that you do that cultivates that bond?
So like when I first picked up Clive, it was just me and him really, because my partner works out anyway. I'm with them most of the day, most of the week, because I work from home. I feed them, I do most of the stuff. And I find Clive used to kind of be a little bit sassy with my partner, and he had to start feeding them.
Sassy, such a great word.
It wasn't aggressive, it was sassy.
It's sass, I love it.
And literally he was probably a bit jealous, to be fair. And so I told him to start feeding him, and actually that helped a lot, because obviously he knows that he feeds him as well, so it's not just me. But also this recall, I couldn't tell you enough, like literally me starting to whistle and give them treats is so good because every single time I whistle, they know, okay, come to mum, basically.
Yeah.
And every single time I'm outside and I do that high-pitched whistle, they both come toddling over to me and I give them a treat. And I'm like, obviously, if there's a bird and they're watching it, 90% of the time it won't work, but on the whole, it does work.
Yeah, nice. Have you got a whistle, or is it just you've got a vocal?
I just a high-pitched whistle that is nearly as high-pitched as a dog whistle.
Nice.
My mum has bought herself a dog whistle because she comes with me a lot. Because I can't walk 2 cats by myself. It's just not safe.
I was going to ask you about that. Are you always two humans, 2 cats?
So if I take them both, it's 2 humans, 2 cats. To my partner's sheer excitement, he comes with me. He's not so enthusiastic about the cat walking, but he does it. So,
nice.
My mum comes down and helps me, or a friend does. But if not, I take one in the backpack and one walking, and then I swap them around halfway in the walk.
Good. Yeah.
So that's quite handy as well. So like you just have to make sure that the swap over is safe and you don't lose one cat in the process. But what I do is they can both fit in the cat backpack, not comfortably, but I put them both in. One's attached to the cat backpack and one's attached to the leash, and then I just swap them over. So good. I mean, that's great advice. We've had a discussion with others on the podcast about how to do 2 cats, 1 human. So good advice. Excellent. And sometimes, like if we're going out somewhere that's not, they both stay in the car, and then I take 1 cat and I change the leash over in the car, and that seems to be the safest way to do it. And then I take 1 out for 15-20 minutes while the other one's in the car. He just roams around the car anyway. He's got a litter tray in there. And then I go back to the car and swap them over and do it myself. So that's pretty much the new way of walking at the moment, because not everyone's free every single day.
Sure.
Come help me. So but they just love it, so do it for them. Really,
you can tell. Your videos are great. They look like they're just having a ball out there. That beach is fabulous.
The ragdoll breed is definitely unique.
Yeah, lots of character.
Yeah, they're just a little bit stupid. Literally love them dearly, but Colin definitely doesn't have much between the eyes.
Oh, bless him. God, I love that name. Colin, that's the best name ever. I mean, we talked about safety a bit. Are there any other things that you do that are kind of like totally all about safety? Like you've talked about swapping over the leashes in the car, stuff like that. Any other things that you do that's all
especially ever since that we nearly lost Colin with the harness, is making sure you have a really good harness. And I find, to be fair, that anything but a H harness doesn't seem to give a full escape proof. I know some ragdoll people love the butterfly harnesses, so I've never had one of those. So I couldn't.
Is it the ones with the chest? I think
they've got Velcro as well.
So like
kind of like wraps around. I guess it's kind of vaguely like a H, but it's the opposite H. So it does go under the chest, but it's Velcroed like a life jacket kind of thing. Yeah.
Is that because of the fluff?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but it's not hard with the H harnesses to get on my cats. I just have to put my finger underneath the buckle so it doesn't get caught.
Yeah.
But they're super comfy, and they can just move around so much more. And they can climb rocks and stuff like they do. Also, one time my mum dropped the leash, so we actually have a piece of string that attaches to the leash, from the leash to the backpack, because otherwise Clive nearly ran off with a leash dangling behind him. But then the problem with that was that the sound of the leash clattering on the floor was scaring him.
Yeah.
Luckily, I was way in front, so I stood on the leash so that he couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
But that was also a scary moment. So we now have this basically a piece of nylon string, but it's got a key ring circle on it that attaches to a D-clip on our backpacks. Okay. So even if you do drop the leash, it's got about a meter long string that will stop it from going anywhere.
Cool.
So,
I mean, with Melba, we attach her leash to the backpack, actually. I'm never really holding the leash. It's always attached to the backpack. Yeah.
So because we got 2 and we decided to like have to do some like dodging in and out of leashes, so we can't have them attached to the backpack because otherwise my mum can't bend down that low.
And it'd be all tangled.
So we end up doing some sort of aerobatic style maneuvers on the beach, and people laugh.
Nice. Oh, I mean, what fun you guys have. The other thing I was going to ask you about is like, and we've talked a little bit about this again, but what are the thing that most people misunderstand about having cats on leash? Like, if there's something that you could just tell everyone in the world about cats on leash, what would you tell them?
Some people just think I'm being cruel and that it's for me. Like, they think that it's just some fashionable thing that I'm trying to do on the beach. But it's just like, I feel like so many people live in like flats and smaller houses now, and just think about it. Would you want to stay inside with 4 walls all your time when actually you're just trying to keep the cat safe? That's the only reason they're inside. And I just feel it gets really frustrating when people think that you're just a little bit weird, that you're kind of a little bit psycho. The fact that you're
replacing a baby with a cat or something.
Yeah.
You know, that's like, crazy stuff.
Like, I've already got the crazy cat lady like stamp on me because I love my cats. But I just, as like, I'm quite empathetic with cats, or like animals. So like, I never want an animal to be like depressed from being inside, over grooming itself, like getting fat, when it could just have a really nice and rich life, just being able to go on a walk like a dog does. So you wouldn't expect, it'd be like animal cruelty having a dog inside all the time.
Totally. So, it's almost like, why haven't we thought about this before? Like, I mean, you know, people have probably been doing it for a long time, but it's just kind of recently that it's become a thing. But why haven't we kind of thought about this before?
And also, why is it considered weird?
Weird, exactly. Why is it?
It's just like, people just think like, even just like, not some of like friends or friends of friends, just like, you're weird, as in like as a joke way. But you're just like, well, to be fair, I'm not that weird.
No, totally. I mean, it all makes total sense. You keep them safe, you give them outdoor stimulation, it builds the bond with their humans. It's like, and from my point of view, like, my big thing why Melba is on leash is, I mean, safety, but also it's mainly about wildlife, because the amount that free roaming cats kill, and especially in an island situation like you're in. I come from New Zealand. I'm also from Australia, and you know, we're really sensitive to that sort of stuff. So I mean, for me, it's a no-brainer. Like, all of those things added up.
Yeah, I generally do not understand why it's a weird concept and why people just think it's weird. Like, realistically, you're being a responsible owner, I think, for doing it. So
me too.
I understand people who don't want to do it or don't want to take the challenge, I suppose, but we had enough time to train the cats, and we had lockdown, even more time, and it's so rewarding to see them so happy when actually it could have been a completely different lifestyle for them without having that. So
totally.
I don't regret a thing, even if people think I'm weird.
I kind of well, I definitely don't think you're weird, but I don't mind having that weird stamp, you know.
No, exactly.
It's interesting.
My last birthday, I never had so many cat themed things in my life. I've got about 3 crazy cat lady mugs now.
The crazy cat lady who takes her cats on leash. It's great. It's crazy. And what's the most important thing that you've learned on this journey? You know, because it can be kind of like there's surprising things that people often tell me, that it's all like, this sounds a bit crazy, but it's almost like a spiritual journey in a lot of ways, because you do learn a lot about yourself. So what have you learned through your cats by taking them out on leash?
I think, like, I shouldn't swear, but don't take any shit from anyone. So like, quite a lot of people just, they don't listen or pay attention to the fact that you're just trying to do what's good. And you have quite a lot of people who just really don't understand, And it also makes me realize that when you do something strange, why are you judging someone? Like I met a guy with 2 ferrets on a leash, and I'm just like, oh, that's so cool. And he's like, oh, people normally hate it and say they smell. And I'm just like, well, I think it's cool.
Yeah,
it's just I think so many things, like when you see something that's not normal, instead of whispering or judging about it, support that person and just like fully appreciate that they're doing something that's actually really cool. And I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned, is that so many people are so judgmental without knowing the reasons why. So like even just small things about like growing in school, like when someone does something strange, it's like abnormal. So it's just quite a lot you learn about yourself from how kind of enthusiastic you are about something. So I've become quite vocal about it on Facebook because I get so annoyed, because I just think it's not fair. It's like, why can't my cats enjoy this beach when you can enjoy it? So there's just quite a lot. Like I would say that I've grown more of like not really giving a shit about anything that anyone says. So more so than I would say that I would normally be like before this. Before I just keep a low profile and just be like, oh yeah, okay. But now I'm just like, no, you should stand up for it.
I love your spirit. You've clearly got you've got an activist in there. I'm
a digital marketer. What do you expect?
I love it. Keep us posted on what you do with Jersey, because it's almost like a test market, because it's a small environment. If you can get out there, get that message out there, it'd be so interesting to see how attitudes change.
Exactly. If I can't change Jersey, you can't change much else. So we're only 5 by 9 miles big. I think if I go onto every single beach and some sort of sand sculpture, I think it'll be more.
I think that's awesome. Like, get out there and get on your government people, and it's awesome.
Exactly. So I can create a bit of a noise with a couple and quite a lot of the people who support me on the cat forum. And actually the people who run we don't have many kittens in Jersey, so pretty much we rescue a lot from France and Greece. So quite a lot of those people, when I was looking for a cat, I was wanting to rescue one, and they were like, oh, we don't do indoor cats. And I was like, oh. So then I really had no choice but to go pedigree. And ever since this, I've been like talking to them about it and being like, look, like quite a lot of cats get run over. If someone's willing to do what we do, I don't see why they shouldn't be allowed a home that's so enriched. And they completely agreed with us, and we've worked quite closely with them. So it was quite interesting actually, because I've never tried to have a cat in Jersey. Like we had kittens when I was 10, so I never tried to find the cat. So when we just had no choice but to find a pedigree, so we then had to go down that route. And luckily we're educating quite a lot of people from saying and suggesting about this way of life as well.
Totally. And there's something kind of cool about seeing, because there's not a lot of ragdolls on leash, and it's cool to see that pedigree breed that is really seen as an indoor cat outdoors. It's super.
And also we've actually got a rule in our contract that they're not allowed to be outdoors. Like they're not allowed outside. They're not allowed to be outdoor cats. So like we had to contact our breeder. Our breeder and say, look, I'm going to be harness training them. And I told her from day one and had a really nice conversation with her, and educated her about it as well. And basically one of Clive's brothers is also a adventure cat as well. And so she will never home one of her kittens if it's an outdoor cat. Like I said, they're just a little bit, they got not much common sense to these cats.
I mean the risk, like getting out in the road and stuff, I mean it's super dangerous. Like
also they're super friendly. They're so friendly that Colin or Clive would walk into someone's house and just make themselves at home. So like I take them everywhere. I take them to my nan's house, I take them to my friend's house. They're just like little dogs that just come wherever I go.
And when you find that one person who hates cats, there's heaps of cruelty towards cats. It's awful.
It's horrible.
Yes.
Honestly horrible. So
Yeah.
there's quite a few places that used to let dogs at their restaurants, and now I've been like, oh, does this allow cats even if they're in their backpack? And to be fair, there's quite a few places down here now that we're allowed to take them for lunch. So
Awesome.
it is becoming more well known over here. So that's quite nice to know. Especially with like my friend Paige as well. She does quite a lot too. So
you two together, I'm sure you can change Jersey.
Yeah, she's out east, I'm out west. We'll take it together.
Nice. I think you've got it. Yeah. It's interesting if in France, unless we see a no cat sign, we assume it's okay. So if the restaurant doesn't say no cats, then we're in.
Yeah.
Cool. And so for people who are thinking about doing this, what's your best advice?
Patience. Lots of patience.
Yeah.
So like from day one, like they didn't even like the harness. They used to roll down on their side. You just got to be patient and just keep them entertained. It doesn't come straight away. You can't just put a harness on your cat and take it to the beach and expect it to not be scared. It's going to be scared. So you've got to, it's like me telling you to run a marathon when you haven't even trained for a 5-kilometer race. It's exactly the same principle.
Good comparison. Yeah.
So it's just like, you just got to persevere and keep patience. Like I think every single cat could easily be an adventure cat just with patience.
Yeah.
Whether they just want to be in a backpack and want to see the outside, that's fine. Like one of my friends, like they don't have the confidence in themselves to go and take the cat on the beach, so they take her in a backpack when she goes for a walk, and I'm just slowly teaching her now. I'm going and taking her cat with her, we're just doing some stuff, and it's more she's scared of dogs, and that's the reason that's putting her off it.
Right.
So when I'm there, I show her, look, I've trained my cats that if there's a dog, I pick them up, they walk over my shoulder and go into the backpack. So like that has taken a lot of training, but they know the backpack is their safe place. Like when I used to take them onto the beach, we used to just put the backpack on the floor. That it's like a fold out one, then it makes it bigger. And we used to just sit statically, and as soon as we saw a dog, I put them in the backpack, do it up, and like the dog can't go near them.
No.
So we just did quite a lot of patience and training. So.
And that raises a key thing that I try to talk about all the time, is just always have a backpack or a safe space, something where you can put the cat if something happens, and also that they know that they've always got that if they need it for whatever reason.
So I'll be honest, when we had that dog attack, like we only had one backpack with me, and it was on me, and because it all happened so fast, like because we kind of got a little bit out of like the risk thing, and we were just like holding them. Instead, I should have seen that dog as an off-leash dog and put them in the backpacks, and that would have completely meant that the cats were safe. So they're like, I've never gone ever since without a backpack. So that's one thing that I would always say as well, always have a backpack. So like normally I carry the backpack on my front now, so like I just literally scoop him up and put him straight in the backpack. So I'm not even holding him at all. He just goes in the backpack, and he knows that's his safe place, and the dog can't get to him. So building up the trust after that was a slow burner, and we're still not back to where we were.
I'm sure you'll be doing it for a little while yet, huh?
And also like jumpy dogs, he doesn't like them now. Like before he used to be super friendly with all dogs, but he just like he does hiss, and he does not like it. So
no surprise, huh? And for you guys too, like it's you're a real team, and it's going to take a while for him to build his confidence, but I imagine for you too, like it's kind of
it's also like used to, like if he was scared, he would come to me, and that took a bit for him to realize that he needed to do that again, because obviously he was with a friend. So he was like, where was my safe place?
Sure.
So like I think part of it was we should have had a backpack, and we should have put them in it straight away. So ever since I've been way more like, I think you just kind of get a little bit comfy because you've never had the problem before. And we've had off-leash dogs, and the owner sees us and puts them on the leash, but now it's more of a thing where if it's an off-leash dog, you're in the bag. So
yeah.
It was a bit of both. The dog shouldn't have been off a leash, but we shouldn't have been so like not prepared for that. So
yeah, I mean, there's heaps of space to work together with. Like, it's not ever about dog owners versus cat owners. It's, it's about working together. Just to let's just make everyone safe. Like, it's not
like, in a way, I just wish that there was at least just one beach that was just a leash only all the time.
Yeah.
And then at least we know that that's where we go. But we're working on it. We'll see.
Yeah. Love your sign idea. And is there anything that you want to talk about that I haven't asked you? Anything that you want to mention?
I think we've covered quite a lot.
We have. We've totally have. It's been great.
But yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of these signs printed and offer them to quite a lot of the different shops. And Surfer Cat is branded, so they're going to be putting it in their shop as well, and it'll only cover expenses and there won't be a profit. So I'll let you know when that's all live.
Yeah, please do. And yeah, please do. So they'll be is it mainly aimed at beaches to put on at beaches?
Not necessarily. I think wherever there's an entrance, you can just hang it. Like in Jersey, we're very lucky that people won't steal things, really.
Yeah.
Unless, like, you'll always find it. You can't go far. It's surrounded by sea. So what we're going to do is put like a hole in it so that you can cable tie it and cut it off when you go, so that people don't steal it, because you never know who thinks it's funny. But some places, they say that it's considered as littering by putting stuff like that up, but if you're putting it out and then taking it back with you, I don't see an issue. But if you contact your parks and just make sure that they're okay with that. We were going to do a sticker option as well, so if people wanted to have it on like their backpack or something, we could do that as well.
Yeah, cool. Excellent. Yeah, keep us posted. We'll definitely be, we'll be keen to, let as many people know about it as we can. It's a great idea. And because there's not heaps of strategies, like
there's only so much you can do without it being. Totally. Yeah, like you can go on the news, you can do other things, but
can you get on the news?
No, not yet. But I'll try. I've got a friend who works for ITV, but I've still not managed to get on it yet.
I'll give it a red hot go. I'm just like, that would be awesome. Yeah.
But we will see. I'll try my best. I'm hoping with more activity about the whole leash rules might trigger it a little bit more.
Yeah. Hope so. Well, thanks again for talking to us. It's been great to meet you. And I mean, one of the goals of this podcast is that we see the cats on the Instagram, but it's like, for me, the cats and the humans are a team, and it's so great to see the person or people behind the cats. So it's great to chat to you. And thanks for coming on. Yeah. Oh, pleasure. Yeah, it's so good. So thanks everyone for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.